let's hear it for your Sydney Swans.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there, you just can't get enough of the red and the white.
Fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods.
G'day there, Signaton Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined as always by the crew from Sydney. I'm Harps, and I have Noddy and Superfan Sam along for the ride.
That's right, you lovely loyal Swans fans. Today we're going to be talking about our win over the Saints and look ahead to the game at home on Saturday twilight against the Kangaroos. And remember, if you enjoy what you hear, give us a like and follow. Righto, let's kick things off with a quick game recap.
What a game. What a game. Sunday afternoon, just under 30,000 people, Marvel Stadium down in Melbourne. So much to talk about. Our Swans beat the Saints in a classic 5 points in the end. 14 goals, 892 to 13 goals, 987. There were fingernails bitten. There were people throwing things at the TV. Our man, Superfan Sam, met half the Swans team. There is so much to talk about. So let's get straight into it. Noddy, off the top, what are your 3 words, mate?
Grundy, Gulden, gold.
Oh, yes.
Also nails, what nails. Yeah, look, just in another must-win game, obviously nerves were tested. After some patchy footy, we found a way to win, and it was one hell of a highlights reel that got us over the line. That was one of the best ruck tap-down roves from Grundy to Gulden that I've probably ever seen. But yeah, look, obviously a little bit like how the Marvel roof was kept ajar in the lead up to first bounce. Our season is also with a jar. It's a jar. We channeled the roof gods to keep the hopes alive. So Swans march on.
The door remains open.
Yep. Lid on, door open.
My 3 words are Sunday Arvo footy. Sunday Arvo footy. I just reflected that there is nothing like it. There is no game like it in the world. Like Sunday afternoon, those nail biters when it comes down to it. It reminded me of that game of why I love this great sport. You know, it's unique to our country. We should all be very proud of it. Games like that remind me of why I'm an AFL fan, and I have been my whole life. And as you said, Noddy, just either team could have won that. It could have gone any way. I'm just delighted that we when the siren went, we were the team in front at the time. And Sammy, you were there as always, mate. I mean, it would have been fantastic. And then you got a bit of a story for us on the way home as well.
I do. I'll start off with my 3 words. So I'm taking a little bit of a different outlook of Giants Freo percentage. As much as it was a great win, the weekend didn't go the way we needed it to, and this was a really good opportunity that was outside of our control. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I just realised I spelled percentage wrong. Look, it was exciting and it was a relief. I actually went up and celebrated when Sammy Wicks kicked that behind because I thought that went through, and I had a whole bunch of Saints fans laughing at me. I was laughing at myself because I was like, I thought he won it. It was just such a pure kick off the boot, but apparently it grazed the post. I was too busy celebrating to notice. The tap down from Grundy to Gulden was just magic. You don't see that all too often, even in the middle of the ground, and also just the speed from hand to boot from Errol under pressure was just phenomenal. So yeah, it was a great set play, and it was a good last quarter as well. To be fair, 5 goals won to win the game, and I think St Kilda kicked 2 goals or something. So it just shows how much better they were than us in specifically the second and third quarters, but even the end of the first. So it wasn't looking good. But I was on my way. I went straight to the airport after the game, or I went home, got my stuff, to my ace place, got my stuff. And I was there and I saw a guy, looked like he was in Swans official gear. And I was like, oh, geez, I thought I was a diehard, sitting there completely covered in red and white. I got to the gate and half the team was there. So I sort of sat back, didn't want to go and annoy them. Anyway, then
You played it cool, Sammy?
of course I tried to. Probably looked a bit awkward, but anyway, then they all got on the flight and Heaney was late, so he rocked up on his own. So I congratulated him, got a photo with him, and then I waited to the end to get on the plane, and then I look over and see this Jason Moana looking character, and it turned out to be Brody Grundy. So I told him how he's carrying us, potentially to finals, and how well he's been doing, and got a photo with him too. And then walked past all of them on the plane again, covered in, I guess, merch watch. Then saw Juzzy and Dostridge on the way out and had a bit of a chat with them. So it was an interesting flight home. Normally I fly Qantas, but maybe I should fly Virgin more.
Yeah. Good on you, Sammy. You must have been delighted.
Yeah. Look, it was sure. I think it would have been very awkward if they hadn't won, I reckon.
Mate, did they even know who they were talking to? Superfan Sam?
No,
right.
None of them knew who I was, of course.
Sammy,
I don't mind that.
I saw the photos. I've never seen you look so happy, I must say, firstly. It was really touching to see you with them and how happy you were, for starters.
I've got 3 words, Harps, for Sammy and the photos. Pig in mud.
Are you talking about Grundy as my fantasy captain, or
no? Yeah, footy fantasy pig. That's an insider's term for someone who racks up the pill. But no, sorry, Harps, cut you off there, mate. It was good. It was awesome to see, wasn't it? It's always fun to see fans with the players and just looking super happy, and none other than our super fan Sam, who goes to every single game, home and away.
You can check him out in the socials; they're up there. Sammy, what did Grundy say to you when you told him how well he was playing? Was he gracious? Did he have any thoughts on the season, or what did he say?
Oh, look, not really. I think they've just played 3 hours of football. I didn't really push too much to have much of a conversation. It's kind of in and out. Said my words, got a photo, and said thanks, mate.
So you did play it cool.
Yeah.
Well, I got photos with them, so I don't know. I don't know if I played it that cool, but cool enough. Yeah.
Did you even mention that they were top of the Bob medal?
No. You got to wait to the end of the season because
that is playing it cool, Sammy. That is playing it cool.
Yeah. Don't reveal your hand too early. I think Grundy knows he's doing pretty well though. Listen, so in terms of the footy, right, we all acknowledge how nerve-wracking that was. Did anyone throw any remotes at the TV? I mean, there were a few atrocious umpiring decisions, but obviously we won out in the end, and obviously, with being a 5-point win, we don't really reflect upon that now. But geez, it was close, wasn't it?
That second quarter was awful. It was everything we've done poorly. That was a stressful period, I must say. Second quarter. And as I say, I felt we could have lost that game. Frankly, I'm just pleased we were on the right end of it when the siren went. Because another 2 minutes, or even another, there was a chance for a mark inside the 50 again. So it could have been a shot on goal after the siren, right? So just delighted we got across the line.
Definitely.
Yeah, the umpiring was disgracefully bad both ways again. We need full-time umpires.
That is a soapbox you've been standing on all season, Sammy.
I think it's a couple of seasons, I reckon.
Yeah, I can only think it because there must be about 50 on the list, right? How many per game? 10 a game, 8 games. It's pretty big payroll.
9 games.
9. Yeah. It's a lot of umpires. But yeah, look, pay him a salary. There's enough money going around. I think that's a new segment, Sammy's soapbox, where Sammy tells his thoughts. No, just me. I'm happy to go with Noddy's soapbox. Soapbox. Okay. Yep.
All right, let's get into the game then. So, Noddy, you first, mate. Where was it won and lost?
Yeah, I guess I think we were just better in moments. We were beaten in the contest. We marginally won the clearance, or the clearances were even, but they beat us in contested possessions, uncontested. We lost tackles by 5 in the end. They had 10 more forward 50 tackles. So I think that we were just probably cleaner when it counted. It really was a game where we had to win and we did what we needed to do, and there were some brilliant moments, and we're going to talk through them. Brilliant individual moments and really solid team efforts. But yeah, I don't look great start to the game, and then obviously tape it off towards the end of the first quarter. Awful second quarter, like 6 scoring shots to 2. Didn't even look like. I thought we were going to get smashed. Came back in the third, which was pleasing, and a fantastic fourth. As Sammy's already said, we kicked 5-1 or whatever to their 2 whatever. So yeah, I just think we, if we can, we probably just need to be a bit more consistent, obviously, and not go missing. But as long as we can fight back, but you don't really want to leave it to that in case you're unable to do that. But I think other than that, just before we pass over, is last 3 games we've kicked 14 goals. So 14-8, 14-10, 14-12. And we've conceded 13, 12, and 16. So obviously the Bulldogs is a bit higher, but so we're scoring more, but we're not defending better. So obviously it would be great if we could score more than we were, which were averaging 11 goals up until Gulden pretty much came back in. So we're scoring more, but we're still leaking, probably too much, and we can see it on the percentage. We'll go through that later.
Mm. And Sammy, you were there, right? It's probably not a game you can watch too objectively, but where did you think the game was won and lost, mate?
I think we started the game really well, like we did against St Kilda last year. And then we finished the game well, really. In the middle, St Kilda were winning that game. In the second and third quarter, I think they were a lot better. Even the end of the first, they just, a switch flicked. Either we turned off or they turned on, and we were turning the ball over a lot in the second and the third. Even our superstars would, even the match winner, the Messiah, Errol, was had a few turnovers. Millsy had a shocking one. Juzzy had a few. Chad had a few. It was just we weren't connecting well as a team. So yeah, I think the start, the first 20 minutes, and the last 30 minutes, that's where we won it.
Mm. And
Yeah.
let's move on to the Bob, right? Because I think we want to talk about several players, right? It was a pretty heated discussion on who got the points in the Bob. Just before we go onto that, though, I think it's worth talking about the Saints for a minute, right? That second quarter, in a couple of years, they'd be out of sight, right? I was struck by how young they were. I looked it up today. They're the 4th youngest team in the competition, and they look it. And I thought, against a more experienced team, I thought at halftime they could have been out of sight. We were lucky to still be in that game. You guys, any thoughts on the Saints? I think there's probably quite a bright future in the horizon for them.
Well, I think it comes down to trade period, honestly, for them. I think they're going to lose Naz to Port, and they will probably bring in TDK and lose Marshall. But yeah, they've got the guy who kicked the 2 goals just before half time. He was a mid-season rookie, right? Hall. So he's like one of the better players in the comp at the moment. So they've had a few good ins. But yeah, they've got this core of youngsters, and really the reason for that, Harps, is because they've finished pretty lowly in the recent memory. So they've had high draft picks, so they've traded in and out, but they've got a lot of high end talent. So they're going to click. If they're going to be inconsistent, but it's going to click at some point. Teams like North Melbourne. I mean, the Suns are already reaping the benefits of their period of in the doldrums, right? So it's just a matter of time. If you have a team full of top 10 draft picks, then it's going to happen. But they do have a few. They have a few of those players out, like Filippo and Max King, to name a few. But like Windhager, Mitch Owens. Love Mitch Owens. Who else is? Obviously Nazai, we've spoken about him. I thought Stocker even played a role. He was unwanted by Carlton, and he's there playing a role. But yeah, look, I don't know. I think that I'm not sure where they are. They are the longest premiership drought currently. So, yeah, surely the pressure's on, but how can you could never think of a world in which there's an AFL comp without a team like St Kilda, just because they have such a long history and such a proud supporter base. But yeah,
Mm,
I think they're a bit
yeah,
of a bogey team for us, to be honest. Like the past few games have been pretty tight. So, and this was no different.
yeah. They're not a team I see a lot of, but I must say I was impressed by them. I was struck by their confidence, and they kicked some lovely goals along the way, and I thought they transitioned really well as well. And as I say, a bit more straight kick in that second quarter, they would have flogged us. So yeah, reasons to be cheerful. I think if you're a St Kilda fan, probably not the season, but to your point, Noddy, I reckon a couple of years' time they'll be right up there. All right, Bob Medal. This was the most heated debate we've ever had on the Bob model. Bob Medal. So much so that we might even consider giving out 7 points this week, not just 6. So, Sammy, for the 1 point, which gave us at least 10 minutes of debate, we left it to you to decide who are the two choices and where have you landed, mate.
So we've given 2 lots of 1 votes to Rowe and Lloydie. For Rowe, he had 15 tackles and 15 disposals, so as equal a defensive game as an offensive game. Kicked a goal. I think he was the midfielder that stood out as well. Just it seemed like our midfield were probably a bit down, so he really picked up the slack and performed. He had 4 clearances, which was equal third best on ground. He had 6 score involvements, which was equal fourth team high for the Swans. And I think, the 15 tackles says it all. And he's also clutch. He was in the, I think last quarter he kicked the goal, wasn't it? Could have given it off to
Beautiful
Emi. I think it
goal.
was, and
Started
that
us
was,
off, yeah.
took it on himself and nailed it. So, really good performance from Rowie. And then Lloyd's had a bit of a resurgence since going back to the twos, and they're playing him up forward, and he's actually in the huddles with the forward, so it's actually been a position change too, and kicking 3 goals, and just the amount of marks I think he's taking, in dangerous areas was really good. He had 2 score assists, 6 score involvements, 3 goals, 15 touches at 80%. So 78% of his disposals were in the offensive half. So it shows where he's taking those marks and that, they are in dangerous positions and he's back to using the ball well again. So that's why we've gone for that. The other reason that we gave these 2 players 1 point each is because they're not regular, point scorers necessarily. They're not part of the cohort that is likely to win, and not even sure if they can mathematically win given some of the players' performances this season. So, thought we'd shout out the role players.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Anything to add, Noddy?
Oh no, I just think the Rowe was best on ground for pressure acts, so 31. So I mean 15 tackles is monumental. And look, he probably has had a quiet couple of like last week and the week before. He's probably just flown under the radar a bit. But as Sammy said, like in a game where there were no dominant midfield performances, he sort of stepped up and showed us, reminded us, just how stable and how much effort he gives. So yeah, it was good to see. And
Another
Lloydie,
thing as well.
Lloydie's. I think Lloydie's just a lock. He's got the experience. He's pretty clutch, to be honest. I know he's kicked a fair few behinds this year, but when you're kicking 3 goals and that equals the other highest goal scorer, I mean that's definitely worth a point.
I think one thing to consider as well is if you look at the stats, St Kilda had 10 more 1%ers, 10 more marks inside 50, tackles inside 50, and 5 more tackles for the game. Without Rowe, we would have been smashed in the pressure, and I think that's where they got on top of us and beat us. And they also had more touches by 40 and still won pressure. So that shows that we just weren't on our A game in terms of effort, because I think that's a really good barometer to show how a team's going. So I think that's another shout out to Rowie there.
Yeah, it was a game where the pressure was important, right? they had. I don't know how the AFL does this pressure measure, but St Killers was way up in the second quarter, and ours was way up in the back half of the game where Rowbottom did his thing, as you said. You mentioned the 3 goals from Lloyd. Good segue into the man who got 2 goals. He was very close to getting 2 points. He was very close to getting 3 points. Will Hayward, one of his best performances all season, Sammy.
Yeah, look, obviously I don't always have the nicest things to say about Wilbur, but I love seeing him play well. I wish he did this every week. So he kicked some clutch goals. When the game was on the line in the last quarter, kicking 2 goals was fantastic. I think he kicked another goal. Was it the first quarter? No, it would have been
Second, I think.
yeah.
Third,
No,
I think.
actually
No,
third.
sorry.
Yeah.
Third,
Yeah,
third, yeah.
So he actually stood up when the
Second
chips
half.
were down. So I love seeing that from him, and I think also he had a late game saving mark in defence, which also attributes to that. So really good game from Wilbur, and hoping to see more of it.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of an age test, but one of my favourite movies is The Goonies, that 80s classic adventure film where One-Eyed Willie was the pirate. I think he was harnessing some One-Eyed Willie vibes there. He operated on one, in pairs, one of them. What, two boots? Nah, I only need one. 2 eyes? Nah, I only need one.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, he was huge, wasn't he? And he really stood up in moments, and that's the Wilbur we've been wanting to see all year, especially in the first half of the year. And we saw glimpses of it, but we didn't see it consistently, and that's why it was frustrating. But if he's coming into form now, then that's a good thing because it's the right time to do so. He helped us win the game, so yeah, huge effort from Wilbur.
He was immense. Yeah, that mark itself was beautiful, but then the banana from the boundary, that little passage, that's one of the best.
Excellent.
That's one of the highlights of the season.
Yeah.
For me.
That was an awesome goal. Noddy, I'm really disappointed that you didn't refer to Evan Peel on the Star Wars podcast, but anyway, we move on.
So you'll have to tell me that one after we finish recording, mate. I've been embargoed on Star Wars references, but no, I tell you what, One-Eyed Willie, if you haven't seen The Goonies, do yourself a favour, check it out. It's an absolute classic. Goonies never say die. I think that's where the Giants got the Giants got their tagline from. Bloody Greater Western Sydney Goonies. But yeah, awesome. I hope Wilbur can roll on.
Okay, well, hey, you guys, time for drum roll.
Yes.
Three points. The man in the middle. The man at gate 36. Sammy. Brody Grundy. I mean, you'd had to put in a performance to get over Hayward, but Brody did it again. Talk us through the stats, right? I think the stats is what turned it for us. They are immense.
Oh, you'd argue the tap could have turned it, but he's up against Rowan Marshall, who is, I think he's top 5 ruck in the comp. I'm shocked that St Kilda want to get rid of him.
Crazy.
He almost quadrupled his hitouts. Obviously they played Max Heath, so maybe Rowan Marshall played forward a bit more, but it's just absolute dominance from Grundy. Really, really good performance again. 4-quarter effort. I think the one blight on his game was where he tried to take on Max Heath and couldn't get around him, which was pretty funny, to be honest. But, again, he had 20 touches and 6 tackles, which, for a ruckman is phenomenal. Led best on ground for clearances again. 5 score involvements, which was, second best on ground for the Swans. So had a goal assist, 3 inside 50s. He's just in the richest vein of form. 17 contested possessions as well. 70% disposal efficiency. just phenomenal. 6 free kicks for as well, and he won against, which was the holding the ball. So he didn't give any ruck infringements away, which is a rarity. And that doesn't hurt that he was fantasy captain as well on debut.
Cherry on top. 13 hit outs to advantage. That's like almost a third of his hit outs.
Actually, sorry, yeah, no, I
Right,
was gonna say,
almost,
yeah.
right. So that's just unbelievable effort. Again, just super consistent. Obviously, we're going to go through ins and outs, but Cherry's out from his brain fade against Sparrow, so now Grundy is squarely in the talk for another AA Blazer. So, and deservedly so. Obviously, Gorn is in there as well, so it's going to be a tough one. But I tell you what, I think Grundy's probably had a more consistent season than Gorn. I haven't been following as closely, but I'm just I'm throwing that out there. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, Grundy, to be fair, took a couple of weeks to warm up, didn't he? But I think kind of round 6 onwards, he's been best in the comp, I think, to be honest. So yeah,
For sure.
I'm with you.
Yeah. The unicorn.
He's doing well. Let's go honourable mentions. I'll start off. I was really pleased with the kicking. I must say some lovely kicks. I like Lloyd's goals. We can talk about Sheldrick in a minute, but he kicked a beauty from the boundary line. I'll just start on Buller. He didn't do a lot, but his 2 goals, I think he had 2 marks and 2 goals. Just lovely goals, right? And he flushed one last week as well. So in his 3rd, 4th game, just nice to see him settling. And he was still on at the end, right? He was involved in one of the pressure acts just to keep the ball away from the Saints right at the death. Just been impressed with his effort. And in the absence of Logan Amadi, I think he's doing a good job. If full forward kicks 2 goals for me, it's a good start. So honourable mention to Buller for me.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair call. He's obviously playing for his career, and you can see glimpses of why he was taken and why he played for his state. So beautiful kicking motion as well, and he absolutely thumps the ball, doesn't he? So he just needs that confidence, needs to sort of grow into his body a little bit more. Obviously, he's pretty big anyway, but he's working at trying to figure out how the pace of the top level game. But he looked way better after his 2nd week in a row, right? Like, remember that chest mark he dropped last week?
Yeah. Yep.
And he looked pretty good this week. So I think him and Sheldrick also combined really well. And those guys, they're both out of contract, both from WA. And geez, I'd love to at least Sheldrick. I'd love to get an announcement of an extension. But it'd be nice. Buller for 1 and Sheldrick, Gus Bus for 2. But everyone piling on Gus, Sammy, or just one more comment, is that he butchers the ball and all this sort of stuff. I remember there was talk of when Rowie was sort of starting out in the middle, and you just, when you hack the ball forward, you're never going to have very nice disposal efficiency, and that's what Gus has sort of been doing for most of this season as he's fought his way back in to the regular team from the sub bench, the sub, right? But there were like multiple occasions in this game where we saw just how nice a field kick Gus has got. He's a beautiful left footer. It's just that he's normally under pressure, so needs to hack it out. But if he gets a bit of space, he can lace out, as he did to Buller, as he did, I think, to one or 2 others. But I love Gus, and I really, really do hope we can keep him.
I love that goal. Like he lined up for that looking, I thought, a little apprehensive, but he flushed it. It was a beautiful goal. Yeah, I was impressed with his game all over, actually, to be honest. I thought he had a
what
good
about
game.
that chase down tackle of Nasaya?
Bloody
awesome. We should have given him a bit more crap after the bloody hoo-ha from Max Heath on Grundy. I'll tell you what, they were getting right. I mean, fair enough, but geez, come on, do the same for Nas. Anyway.
Sammy, who caught your eye, mate?
Look, I mean, I think Errol has to get a shout out. As much as he didn't have his best game, he still was clutch when we needed him to be. And, I'm sure he still ran all day, and I think he was probably better on the defensive side than he was, in, I guess, maybe in the forward half. But, he's still played decently, just not to his full potential. I don't know. I don't think that we had the the best performance, to be honest. There's not too many people I want to shout out for that game. I think, we played well as a team in the first quarter for 20 minutes and well in the last quarter, but I don't think there's too many I want to shout out as honourable mentions that haven't already been covered.
Yeah, just got it done.
Got it done. Give me them dubs.
Mm.
Give me them dubs. So let's look ahead then, right? We know the equation quite well. Win everything. I think Errol actually came out midweek and said that, right? I think he said, let's forget about ladder predictors and who's playing who. We just need to win. Let's just focus on winning, and then let's see where we are in a few weeks.
Yeah, be perfect.
But Noddy, I know you've been crunching the numbers most days, right? So where are the numbers and where are we?
I'm not doing stomach crunches, so I've got to crunch something. No, look, I just obviously where we are now, still in 10th, 8 wins, 9 losses, poultry percentage of 94.2. We're 3 full wins and a decent chunk of percentage behind the 5 teams currently occupying 4th to 8th in the log jam. So that's Geelong, Suns, Hawks, GWS and Fremantle. We are 4 wins from our last 5 games. With that close, admirable loss to the Dogs being the only blemish. So we're running into form. The only question is, can we keep doing it? We have to win as many as we can from 6 from 6, really, to maximise our chances. And we've obviously still got some tough games to come. But Sammy, were you going to extrapolate or talk a little bit more about how things that would have been nice to go our way didn't, and what that means going forward, or is it just that we just got to keep winning?
Well, it is. We just have to keep winning, but it would be the same regardless. What the issue is here is that the one game that we probably wanted to go our way didn't, and that was the Dogs winning against Adelaide. The Dogs play both Giants and Freo. So if the Dogs were more in form and they beat both GWS and Freo, that was probably our way in. And maybe that puts the pressure on them to do that more. But the fact that Hawthorn lost to Freo, especially for being up in the final quarter, I saw, and then probably conceding the last 3 or 4 goals of the game, and the Giants beating Geelong. They somehow seem to beat Geelong most games. Geez, Aaron Cadman was good.
So good.
Not that we want to big up any of those players from.
I think he extended as well, 2030.
He did, yes. So. Yeah, those games really didn't go our way. And even Gold Coast beating Collingwood, not that Gold Coast have a game in hand. So, I think they're probably the hardest to catch in a sense. But yeah, it wasn't a good weekend. And the other thing is, as well, as much as we just need to win, and that's the most important thing, this was an opportunity to put percentage on a team that lost, the only team to have lost to West Coast this year. And we beat them with 4 minutes to go. So it's still not. I think it's almost sort of looking a bit worse, just because this round was a round where I think we really could have made up ground. But that's the thing; it's outside of our control. And as much as we can win all of our remaining games, it doesn't mean squat if the other teams perform, because they're ahead of us by too much. That we'll just have to see if we can catch them.
I mean, the Saints lost to the Eagles in round 10. In Perth, and Harps has correctly pointed out they're a pretty young team, so they're going to have moments of inconsistency. But I think now that it's their season's done, I think they're just looking for scalps, and for whatever reason, the past few games have been pretty close between us and the Saints. So
they've beaten us the last 2, and then also they came into really good form at the end of last year when they were already out of the season. So
that's right.
I guess they play better when the pressure's off. But it's still in the situation we're in, even if it's the Dogs we're trying to overtake, they're still 35 percentage points higher than us.
Yeah.
So we need that percentage, and that's worrying.
Yeah. Well, we are at home this weekend, and we are playing a team that we registered our biggest win of the season against, 65 points back mid-April. I think that was just after Easter. North Melbourne, Noddy. I watched a bit of their game over the weekend. It seems to be a team they've got a lot of talent. I don't know why they can't really put it together for 4 quarters, but yet again they were in the game for kind of 2 quarters against Melbourne and fell away pretty sharply in the back end. What do you see in North Melbourne, mate?
Oh, I see a lot of Luke Parker. No, look, they're another example of a team that's been bad for the past 5 or 6 years, probably longer than that, and so the AFL's just handing them as much assistance as possible. You go through their squad; they've got I think it's 10 or 15 first-round draft picks, and I know that doesn't mean everything, but it certainly helps. And I think I think they do have a fair few young players still, so they're trying to understand get that consistency. And I think you saw that with their trade approach last year. They brought in experience, obviously, with Parker, Daniels, and Darling. But they're older bodies, so they're coming in and out, especially when you're in the middle and up forward. But look, I think that they're pretty much just trying to take down as many teams as they can, right? For a bit of pride. So I don't know. I think they're a bit of a danger team, to be honest, especially at home. I know we had a big win against them earlier on, as you said, but I remember North games being pretty tight at the SCG for whatever reason. That could be totally unfounded, but that's just my gut feeling. But look, obviously, you can't go into this thinking it's an easy game because they're the ones you drop. So you've just got to go in, stay switched on, and you really have to, you have to respect them because I think they do a lot of things right when they're on. So look, I don't know. Every game is extremely nervous for me because we've got to win everything.
Yeah, they got a lot of good players. I like that Cheezel character.
Yeah. Sheasel, he's another. What was he, picked 2 or 3 or something? So, Cherry obviously out as we mentioned with that swinging arm on Sparrow, which he has been suspended for. Sammy.
It says that unless they do one of those appeals, it's confirmed that it's been upheld at the tribunal.
3
weeks.
3 weeks. So, I mean, is that a segue to talk about Max Heath's hit on
150%?
Go for it.
So last year in the corresponding game against St Kilda, where we switched off in the second half, and I don't think Errol had a touch for the last 40 minutes and somehow got 3 Brownlow votes. The same people that gave Errol the 3 Brownlow votes probably put Heaney on report for a push behind him that accidentally drew blood from a player. The player with no injuries, who I think was on Heaney's side, Webster, who knocked someone out and got suspended for 6 games himself, Heaney got suspended for, which we challenged, and it was upheld for the fact that it drew blood. In the meantime, Max Heath, who, to be fair, he's quite tall and was his first game, but not his first game of football ever. Late hit on Tommy McCartan, probably should have been 50 metres and wasn't seemingly going for the ball or was quite late. Gets away scot-free, whilst Sherry in a contest gets suspended for 3 matches because another player pushed another player who pushed another player into Sherry. It's just so ridiculous that Isaac Heaney got suspended for that Max Heath didn't, and that, again, Sherry obviously knocked the guy out, but I don't think he probably didn't mean the damage that he caused. But it just goes back to how did Heaney get suspended, and how did Max Heath not? It's just like the umpires not being part time. We need to get a better match review system because it's just a joke.
I don't use this phrase often, but it beggars belief. It's absolutely honestly, if they're all about the outcome, which is what basically the whole concussion thing is, then how is Max Heath's action not just instantly 1 week or 3 weeks? I thought it was 3 weeks if they were concussed, and there's blood. So look, I don't know. I guess the other way you could look at it is Brayshaw gets a knee to the back of the head from Luke Jackson, and there's claret everywhere, and yet he's being interviewed post-match. It's like, do we want to check him for concussion symptoms, guys? No, give him a mic. It's hilarious. This towel is full of blood. Look, I don't know. I'm just perplexed. I'm utterly perplexed. And really, McCartan, with him and his brother's history of concussions, that's frightening for me. For him, personally, and his health, physical health, and obviously that's going to have an effect on mental as well. But also the structure of our team at the most important time of our season. So I don't know. It's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, it's and going back to Heaney as well. Like, how did he get suspended? I will never ever let that go, especially with the. Oh, anyway, it's disgusting. Yeah, just like our government, we need anarchy and we need a system reset.
Okay, easy there, big fella. You were just treated, listeners, to the first installment of Sam's Soapbox. Sam's Soapbox.
Sammy Soapbox.
That's right. We'll be bringing that back. Whenever you feel like a rant, Sammy, just give us a heads up. We'll bring the soapbox out. But
yep.
No, I hear what you're saying. It does appear to be inconsistent. I mean, don't even get me started on some of those Collingwood players. They seem to get away with more than the average, don't they? But anyway.
Absolutely.
McCartan is out, unfortunately. So I don't feel like we need to change a lot. I think it's a sense I'm getting. Sammy, what would you do? McCartan out? Who are you bringing in?
It's Rampy would be first choice. If not, Robbie Fox, but he may also need a game in the seconds, and it depends if neither of them are fit, or if Robbie Fox isn't ready for seniors, then it would be probably bring Ollie Florent in, and either Rice stays sub, and we rotate the team around and play a bit smaller up forward, maybe take Francis back, or something along those lines. That seems to be the only option.
And if Noddy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think that's right. Like, if Rampy's fit, bring him in. But if he's not, then don't tempt fate. Same for Fox. Yeah, I fully agree with Sam. I think that probably I'd bring Bice onto the field and Ollie to sub. But yeah, that's the mix. I don't think we're probably not debuting Detoli, as we've been talking about, and we're probably not debuting Snell, even though he's been pretty consistent in the VFL. I think we've got the players there. Obviously, it doesn't help losing another tall timber, but I think, with Francis's versatility, although I'd really prefer him as a forward, we can cover it, I think, as Sammy pointed out.
No room for Corey Warner or Laddams?
Yeah. I mean, if you bring Laddams in, you put Francis back, and I think that, if Rampy's fit, he's in. That's the easy response. But if he's not, then I think, I don't know if Laddams. I mean, I don't know.
My answer is no.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it tight. They're not overly tall at either ends, but they could also be getting back. Larkey potentially is a test. Wardlaw, LDU, they had concussion. They might be back. Coleman Jones or Teakle, as Sammy mentioned, coming in for Cherry. So they're not very tall at the back. Toby Pink, ex-Swan, was a similar height as Melican, and I think Nick Larkey's probably their tallest other than those ruck forwards. So I think we don't really need to push for Laddams, but maybe you never know.
We shall see. Any final thoughts, boys, before we go? I got one, if I may.
Go on then.
I know you saw it because I sent it to you, but maybe for the listeners who haven't seen it, there was a talk for the ages in the Carlton-Brisbane game on Friday night. First round of the game, I think. After the siren, first quarter. And Noddy, you told me this guy, Mark Pittenay, is his second choice ruck?
Pretty much. I mean, he sort of shares duties with TDK, but yeah, I would call him a second choice. Or, it depends on what their makeup is. Their key forward, Mackay, out. I think TDK's been playing more forward. But, yeah, it was a beautiful kick. And I guess the context for the listeners here is that you sort of, and we'll keep this as PG as possible, but you kind of get off on torps, don't you?
I do.
Yep.
It is I think it's my favourite part of the game. Yeah.
Guilty pleasure. Let's call it that.
Yep.
Let the shares fly.
Let the shares fly. And after the siren torp, really, really does it for me. I think there's nothing better.
Well, yeah, that's like your top shelf bottle of champagne, I would say. Like that is when I think if a torp, after the siren goes through, Harps is just giggling, just rolling around on the floor, pig in mud, like Sammy meeting the Swans at the airport.
Yeah, it is. It is. I sometimes watch Greatest Torps we all do things like this, but I often watch like Greatest Torps on YouTube.
Do you know why I believe that that's definitely true? Because of the amount of videos that you send the group on historical torps flying through. So to make to our group chat, you're definitely watching. So I fully believe that, mate. And I love it. I love that about you.
Well, it was a ripper. It was a ripper. Okay. That brings us to the end.
Sorry, just lastly on that, Chris did point out that Pitternet looks a lot like Wiedering. And I think there's a lot of truth in that.
That is true. That brings us to the end of the episode. So thank you for listening through to the end, if you did. And if you made it this far, we must be doing something right. So give us a like and a follow.
Whether in person or on the potty, we look forward to whenever you can join us next time. But until then, up the Bloods. And can you, Swannies? Come on.
Swannies.
Come on, let's do it.
Big win, boys. Come on.
This podcast is an independent fan-run production and is in no way affiliated with the Sydney Swans Football Club, its players, or the AFL. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the Sydney Swans or any official organisation. All commentary is intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only.